It's amazing what social media can do for you these days.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I've heard people complaining about issues with some service being down or something and taking it to social media and tweeting about it and how fast they'll get a response because of that.
Well, even recently, I had an experience with The Sims 3. I downloaded it, and the key didn't work because they didn't have enough keys on hand for the sale that they were doing. And I did exactly that. I took to Twitter. I was like, okay, guys, what's going on? And there was other people who followed suit. And, we had this whole Twitter campaign, I guess, going on. And within less than 24 hours, we all had our keys. So, I mean, I can vouch for the power of social media in that case.
Even 5 years ago, that was a thing too, because I had a sidekick that like you flip the thing around and it had the full keyboard that you texted with your thumbs.
Oh, I miss those.
Oh my gosh, I loved it.
Like that.
But I had one of those, but it ran on a separate network. It was called the Edge Network.
Oh yeah.
For months, the Edge Network was down. And so T-Mobile had refunded a bunch of the stuff because of that. But because I had complained on Twitter that it was down, every time it went down, when they put out a class action lawsuit, there was a record online of all the times that I complained that it was down. And I ended up getting, I think T-Mobile gave us like a free month, and I got a gift card for like in-store purchases that I ended up buying a phone with.
Wow.
So
I saw a thing recently. There's a big news story that came out lately that Bank of America is going to stop doing free bank accounts for people with less than $1,000 in their accounts.
That's who uses free bank accounts.
Yeah. And somebody had tweeted that story. Somebody had responded basically along the lines of, well, I'm going to go close my Bank of America account. And Bank of America responded to them and said, we really don't want to lose you as a customer. What can we do to help you? To which this guy responded, stop being a-holes to poor people.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, I'm sure they won't. But, it's just funny to see that kind of interaction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've obviously never mentioned it in this setting, this podcast setting. I don't recall if I've ever mentioned it in any of the previous gaming videos. I don't care for deer.
They're his animal nemesis.
Unless you're eating it.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the only time they're good. But here's a story out of Colorado. It said it was just another early December day at the Horsetooth Store, Gas and RV Park outside of Fort Collins, Colorado, as employee Lori Jones conducted inventory and restocked shelves. Suddenly, she looked up to see Mama, a doe deer, inside the store, looking at the sunglasses. Sorry, I didn't read this. Looking at the sunglasses, then she looked at the ice cream and over at the chips. Jones told CBS Denver, I kind of did a double take. When shooing the deer away didn't work, she broke out a peanut bar and lured the doe into a nearby field. She returned to work, but soon looked up to find Mama was back, this time with her 3 fawns in tow. It took another peanut bar to draw the family away from the store, and Jones said she has learned her lesson. You should never feed the deer because they're going to keep coming back.
Mm-hmm.
That's how deer stands work.
Yep.
This happened in Colorado, right?
Yes, and these freeloading deer.
Was she high?
The deer had the munchies.
The deer had the munchies.
Something.
I mean, it starts off with this deer being like, those are some sweet sunglasses. Look at those sunglasses. Ooh, ice cream.
Chips.
I want chips. That deer was high.
Probably.
It's all the secondhand smoke.
But between high school and 3-4 years ago or so, I've been involved in 3 deer-related collisions.
Wow.
And
2 of which he was driving.
yeah, I potentially could have had a lot more. They're all over this place.
They're everywhere.
I saw 3 on the way home from work the other day, just on the side of the highway. And they're like regularly about 10 in the field next to my work.
There was actually a time my mom and I were driving on the highway and a deer ran into the side of our car as we're going down the highway.
Yeah, that was kind of the first experience we had, which actually, in hindsight, was hilarious. It was in Oklahoma.
Story.
And it was a high school competitive speech team. We were going actually into the Oklahoma City area, which was about 2.5 hours. So we had to leave real early, like 5 a.m. And little town, we were in a little town called Shattuck. And there's this little highway that connects to a town called Sharon. And so we're on this road known as the Shattuck-Sharon Road. I don't know why. But so our coach, Mrs. Owen, my English teacher, my friend Nick was sitting in the driver's seat. One of my friends was
passenger seat.
Yes, sorry, passenger seat.
Okay.
And then one of my friends was asleep in the first kind of bench. I was sitting in the second one, and then two other people were in the back. And we're just driving along. All of a sudden, Nick yells, "Deer!" And we hear thud just down the side of the van. Mrs. Owen stops, kind of turns the car around. Of course, it is pitch black. There is no lights anywhere. And as we get turned around and we see something in the road, and we're like, what is that? And as we get closer, we realize there is a full deer leg in the road.
Oh.
And we're like, what just happened? And she's like, well, okay, we can't do anything about this right now. So she goes to turn around, and as she's turning, the headlights hit down in the ditch a 3-legged deer trying to stand up.
Oh.
And we felt so bad.
Oh, that's terrible.
Now, Joe, one of the guys who was with us, his dad is a game warden for that area. And so we drive on in. This is pre-cell phone time.
Mm-hmm.
As we're driving, we see there's a truck waiting to pull out onto the highway. And we pull over, and Nick gets out, and we hear him. He walks up and says, "Do you have a big gun?" And whoever's in the car just goes, "I don't live here. I'm just picking somebody up." And he goes and gets back in the car. So we get on into Sharon, and we find the single payphone in the entire place. This town's actually smaller than Shattuck, where I went to high school, which is a small town. Joe calls his dad and tells him, say, "Hey, there's a deer, needs to be come and taken care of and whatnot." And find out later that he never could find it. So don't know what happened to it.
3-legged deer running around somewhere.
But while he's on the phone, we're next to this kind of street light thing. We get out and we look, and we see there is a scuff mark the entire length of the van from the antlers. And the bumper is the style that sort of sticks out on the side and kind of like hooks around the side.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to looking, and we notice that the one side of the bumper has just got blood and a hair on it. And best we can figure is that the bumper caught the deer right in the armpit.
Oh.
Popped it off.
So this is terrible. But we drive into Oklahoma City, go to our meet. Afterwards, we're headed to go eat someplace. We just happen to look over. We see these two girls in the car next to us just sort of glance over. And then we see their heads turn towards the bumper area, and they just freak out. And that's the first time we realized we're driving around in a vehicle covered in blood. And so, that was the first time I was involved in a deer collision.
Similarly, when he hit the deer while he was in college, he was driving back to college between our small town and Oklahoma. He was on one of those small 2-lane highways, like middle of nowhere.
Well, actually, it was a 4-lane highway. It was actually a pretty good size road. All of a sudden, this deer runs out and kind of catches the corner of my car. I was actually, kids, don't do this. I was actually on the phone with her when this happened.
This is before there were a bunch of cell phone laws.
Yeah. And so I was kind of flipping out, but I'm like, okay, just hit this deer. I heard this sound that confirms I just hit a deer. Mm-hmm. But I'm driving, and I'm like, I can't tell there's anything wrong. The right blinker light was just on. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe it broke my blinker. I pull in to this gas station that I usually would stop at before I got on the interstate, the last little leg of the trip. The way this gas station is set up, the counter is sort of in the corner of the building, and so it kind of cuts across catty corner. And as I pull in through the window, I see the attendant just look at my car like, what is going on? I immediately think, oh, there's something not right with my car. And I get out, and the reason I couldn't tell anything had happened is because when it had hit, Yes, it had broken my blinker. The entire headlight assembly was gone. And it had bent the hood under.
Oh, wow.
And so visually from the driver's seat,
His bumper is covered in blood.
Didn't look like anything. Luckily, it was still drivable. It was all
Yeah, it was all aesthetic
damage. The third time, I was not so lucky.
No.
The third time, it hit and it popped the radiator and sent the hood up into the windshield.
Broke the windshield.
And it was
bad.
The worst part of that was I had no signal where I was at. Yeah. Luckily, emergency services still work, even though you don't have a service.
Signal.
Get home, but I don't like deer.
That was the time that inspired my mom and I to write a stew recipe in your honor. We named it Retribution Stew.
Well, how about an Ask Reddit? In this,
Yeah, we need something a little lighthearted after all that.
Yeah, we could
Dead
always
deer.
we could always talk about how I hate geese because they attack me.
Well,
so this is actually the very first question I ever put into show notes for us to do, and we didn't do it, and it's just I went back and finally got it. What kind of loot will you drop when you die?
Ooh.
There's definitely going to be a crochet hook in there
Yeah, I would say so. And a bottle of wine.
and a microphone, maybe.
Yeah.
Drumsticks.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Maybe a beer, too.
Like good craft beer. There's probably going to be an IPA, some crappy IPA in there. Not crappy, but I don't like IPAs, so.
I'd probably drop a few eyeshadow palettes and a microphone.
Kind of reminds me of the witch from Bugs Bunny. Whenever she would take off, you see the little hair pins spin around in the dust. That's you with crochet needles and makeup.
Crochet hooks and makeup, yeah.
Yeah, I have a hard time figuring out. I tend to be very eclectic. I guess probably some comic books.
I would say
A couple of pops.
I was going to say a couple of pops and some 20-sided dice.
Oh yeah, dice. Definitely,
Dice.
definitely polyhedral dice. Yeah.
I would want to say like a DM screen, but you don't own a DM screen.
I don't need one.
You don't need one. You just own whatever those dice rolls say.
As we're talking, I'm just thinking how to expand this question. What would be the rare item that the group that finally took you down would be fighting over? See, I think Laura's might be something along the lines of like stethoscope of extended life.
Microphone of the Nightingale. That would be mine.
You always sing on key.
Exactly. Make everybody sound like Sarah Brightman.
I have absolutely no idea who that is.
Sarah Brightman.
Sarah Brightman's amazing. Okay, like we just talked about her, the girl from Evanescence.
Amy Lee.
Amy Lee. Okay. Microphone that makes everybody sound like Amy Lee. How's that?
See, I think that Happy would drop some sort of like rare comic.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I
He
got
has
to
to
interject.
interject a story.
There's a comic shop in Wichita Falls.
Mm-hmm.
They posted on our Facebook the other day. They had a Incredible Hulk 181 walk in off the street.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I just watched my husband's heart drop.
Wow.
Of course, the first comment
One of
is, "I'll give you $20 cash right now."
Yeah.
and somebody's like, "How much is it going to be?" And they respond, I've got to
those
send it
who-
off. I got to send it off to get it graded. Once we know more,
graded
we'll
and
get it
praised.
back. That first guy said, "Okay, 25."
So for those who are nerdy but not quite as nerdy as Happy and Keelan, would you like to tell them the significance of that comic?
The Incredible Hulk 181 is the first appearance of Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
This is my husband's. What would you call it? Your holy grail.
Is this your
Holy
white
grail.
whale?
It's my
Says white whale. Yeah.
Definitely.
Keelan drops a repaired iPhone.
Which breaks again.
Immediately breaks.
I saw a thing the other day that I almost sent you that said, when I see people who carry around iPhones without a case on them, I just think to myself, that's the kind of confidence that I should have in the Lord. I want to be as confident in the Lord as they are in their ability not to break that.
What would you drop though, Keelan? What do you think would be your drop? Your rare drop.
That's a good question.
While we're listing like all these things like that are super cool that we're into, to be completely and totally honest, Happy's going to drop a really comfy pair of like pajama pants that are warm and cozy.
I'm going to drop an unused planning journal.
Anything that gives the illusion that you've got your life together. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Be the USB of ultimate repair.
There you go.
Oh,
Or instantly repair any computer.
you would drop the USB that's universal, whether you flip it whichever way.
Universal.
Yeah.
UUSB.
Well, I know for a fact that Laura would drop just hundreds of alcohol swabs
And bobby pins.
because they don't come out of her pockets when those scrubs go in the wash.
Okay. The first 5 days I work in a row, they come out of my pocket and go on the desk because they go in my pants the next day. That last shift is the one that ends up with nothing removed from the pockets, except for like my pens and my scissors, because those are poking me in the leg as I'm driving home, and I just pull them out and throw them in my bag. But yeah, the alcohol swabs stay there because I forget about them once I get home, because all I can focus on is I'm going to sleep for 4 hours and do all the crap I wanted to do for the last 6 days.
Well, let's head to a dumb criminal before we wrap up. Story says, things didn't exactly go as planned for an alleged bank robber in Taylorsville, Utah on January 18th. I think it's Utah. I copied this off of the page I found it on. I meant to write the state. Let's go with Utah.
If it wasn't Utah, it is now.
Yeah. Just before 5:30 p.m., a man entered American First Credit Union, claimed to have a gun, and demanded money from two tellers. After the man received an undisclosed amount of cash in a bag, he ran out to his car, which was stolen. But once he got there, he realized he had left the keys on the counter inside the bank. The man then attempted to run off, but his money bag snagged on something and ripped. Money started flying out of his bag. Witnesses saw the man running and directed police officers to where he was last spotted. Police arrested David Hampson, 39, a short time later in a neighborhood just west of the bank. Police said a good portion of the money was recovered, but investigators believe some of the money went down a storm drain.
And we're sure this didn't happen in Florida.
I'm fairly certain it was Utah.
I just feel like all of these really dumb criminal stories here lately have happened in Florida.
Yeah, well, let's be honest. Florida does not have a monopoly on dumb people.
Well, you know, I mean, there is that phrase, Floridiots, and it's not there for nothing.
But this is such a great
that's so
story
great.
because it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
It sounds like a really bad heist movie, like a comedic heist movie.
It's like a sitcom episode.
Yeah. Oh, you know, it's like an episode of Seinfeld. If Jerry and George went to go rob a bank, this is exactly what would happen.
You get to the car, oh, crap, I left my keys, which, of course, probably have fingerprints on them, too. Mm-hmm. And then he goes to take off, and the bag rips, and all the money goes away, and so all this was for nothing.
It reminds me of another sort of dumb criminal who was eventually called the hero of Canton, the man they call Jane.
Reminds me of the opening of RoboCop, where they blow the safe and burn all the money. They're driving away from the cops, and they have all this money, and it's all worthless.
It's been a really long time since I've seen it, but I feel like Reservoir Dogs is very similar to this whole situation. Real quick before we go, let's talk about what else we've got going on. Laura and I have a new show that is probably out at this point.
Knock on wood.
Called Not a Doctor. It is a medical education show
Dash comedy.
where my wife attempts to make me look as stupid as possible.
No, I'm attempting to educate you, is what I'm doing.
Tomato.
Yep. She does a very good job.
Because I'm a nurse and he is
I am not a doctor.
not a doctor.
That is the show. I have a blog, I guess, for lack of a better term, happybanditonline.com, where I've been putting some writings up and other miscellaneous things
Very nice.
that I've got going on. So,
Nice.
what about the Keelans?
Two Mere Mortals on YouTube and Twitch. Mm-hmm. And you've got your own stuff.
Yeah, and Supermom Blues on YouTube and at supermomblues.wordpress.com, the mommy blog extraordinaire.
And don't forget that you can get this podcast on our website, 4NerdsGaming.com,
Y'all.
YouTube /4NerdsGaming, We have it broken up there into 3 episodes a week.
We have a Facebook page that we post them to.
Yep. Hopefully by now, iTunes, Play Store, etc.
All those fun things.
And don't forget the forum where you can go join in the conversation. Let us know what you thought. Really, this is a great episode to comment on because we'd love to hear your feedback on the verses.
John Bon Jovi for the win.
And based on what you know about us, let us know what loot you think that we would drop.
Yep, that would be awesome.
That would be a lot of fun to read.
Anything else?
We're just all staring at the wife struggling with headphones.
My headphones fell off and they're really confusing.
So cute.
She is too pure for this world.
Y'all shut up.
It's a good thing you're pretty.
Aw, thank you.
Well, as always, we want to leave you with something to ponder. How would you actually kill someone with kindness? We hope you've enjoyed, and we will see you next time on the 4NerdsCast.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I'm Huffy Bandit. I missed making fun of you.
Your lips weren't moving. I was trying to figure out where the sound was coming from.
Ventriloquist act. Do it again. Do it again. Wait. No, seriously, do it again.
I am not your...
Just watch. But watch what I do. It's
I'm not your
funny.
performing monkey.
Not your puppet.
But it was going to be funny. It was...
It wasn't as funny as I anticipated.
I'm Caitlin. I'm the wife. And I'm Laura the Great.